Okay, welcome everyone to the second installation of Cuppa with Kris. Although unfortunately I don't have a cup of tea this afternoon, but I'll try and get one at some stage. Got a few things to go through with you on the presentation, and then again, right at the end, if you've got any questions or anything you want to raise with me, just let me know. There'll be an opportunity to do that. I also realise some people don't watch this live, so if you do have any questions that come up thereafter, just drop me an email. I'd be happy to hear from you as well. So we'll cover a bit of the resident survey response that we had last year when we did the survey, but just a bit of an update on where we are. I thought I'd cover the rent and service charges also. We've also got the resident forum update from Ian and the resident forum group. And then we have the 60th birthday celebrations and an opportunity for questions and answers too. So hopefully that makes sense and we shall go forward. So as I said last time we met, we had an 87% overall satisfaction for extra care, which is a slight increase, only ever so slightly. It was 86% last year, 79% shared owners, and actually we've just got the care satisfaction survey back for those people in receipt of care, and that came back at 94%. Overall, the target is to achieve 95% across all areas, so we've still got a bit of work to do. What will happen in the coming weeks, if not already, is that every single extra care scheme will have an individual action plan to focus on how we can improve resident satisfaction, and that'll happen by the end of March. And we'll be targeting schemes, as I've mentioned in the slide there, that focus on the amber and reds, which is satisfaction that's less than 85%. We'll be targeting those, but not forgetting the ones that are just 86% as well. We'll be visiting those. But every service will have an action plan in place, and that's probably the most important thing, because what you said in your survey in your scheme will be something that we'll be targeting and seeing how we can improve satisfaction. There were, though, 4 common themes that came out of the survey, and they ran complaints, and we'll be looking at our complaints procedure, making sure that we get it right first time. And we'll also be looking at developing some new communication methods around complaints. And really importantly, having a customer first culture across Housing 21 generally, in terms of how we respond to concerns and complaints, and some of those low niggles that often turn into more serious complaints. I think it's important we get to those. The other one that came out was around service and facilities, and that was ensuring all services. One of the things we'll be doing, is to ensure all services have an operating catering facility. I know that's a huge concern for those services that don't, and we're doing all we can this year to make sure we focus on that. We're focusing on activity programs. That was feedback that we got that aren't always as active as they could be, and that's something we're going to be working with residents on over the coming weeks and months. And also, where we do have manager vacancies, that we do have cover in place all the time, and also supporting our local managers there as well. The third theme is around value for money. And one of the things we've started to do already is reviewing all of our charges and schemes to make sure they are and continue to be affordable. Specifically, one of the ones is around core support, which is very different in different services. We're also looking at our repair service, working with local schemes, residents, and importantly, reviewing our local contractors to make sure that we are offering the best value for money when people are coming in and repairing things in our schemes. And then in partnership with the resident forum, we're also looking to improve communication around service charges. The final theme was around communication. I know this is something that we always comes out, that we need to be better at how we communicate with residents. So we're looking to develop new regional and local communication methods and making communication accessible for all. So that's different methods of communication. This is one thing that we've been trying over the past few months to do things differently, and this will be uploaded onto YouTube and different forums so that people do have access in different ways, not just a letter through the door, which is often the way. And we're also looking to standardise local engagement and make it clear for all residents what they can expect from Housing 21. And then we're looking at our resident conferences also as well, and how we can better engage on that level. I also thought it'd be important just to talk about rent and service charges. If not already, you should have received a letter from myself and Pam Mastrantonio, my colleague in retirement living, explaining around the rent and service charges. Now, I know I've wrote out to residents previously about this, but specifically this time we focus on the rent increase of 7.7%. And we know one of the reasons for that is the regulator, which I write in the letter to you, so hopefully you received it, permits housing associations like Housing 21 to raise their rents by the September Consumer Price Index, or CPI, which was 6.7%. And they have that plus 1% on top of that, and that's where we get the 7.7% rent increase. And we decided to apply that full cost of the 7.7% rent increase because we know the importance of investing back into the services in our schemes. It's important to reference that Housing 21 are a not-for-profit organisation, and therefore any bit of surplus that comes back into the organisation is reinvested back into the services on our schemes. I did also talk about the service charges and utilities, and so apologies I've referenced this on a few occasions, but I do know it's a complicated subject. But we did have a large deficit last year at the £12 million due to the utilities. And when we set the budgets in April 22, we obviously weren't aware of what was going to happen with the war in Ukraine. And therefore costs went up and there was a deficit being built, which is being recovered in this year from April 24. But what we do know is that we are building up a large surplus as well this year. So as we get to next year, we do expect that those service charges to go the other way, which will be a big surplus in the account. So you should see that next year as well. But as I said in the letter, and we'll continue to say, if you are concerned about any of the charges or you're concerned generally about cost of living, please do get in touch with your local manager or even myself or the regional teams. We do have things that can help. One of those is the Helping Hands Fund, which is not just about giving out grants to people that are in need, but it's also about helping people access benefits, which we did a huge amount of last year. And also, I think there were about £180,000 worth of grants that were sent out to residents where they were in real concern, or there was a concern that was there. So please do get in contact with us because we can help and we can guide, and we will do all we can to help make sure that the cost of living isn't impacting our residents as much. And finally, as I mentioned, with the local satisfaction and action plans that will be done, we'll also be asking residents to think about, is there anything else that we can do around their scheme or service that we can invest in to make it better? And so please, as you're speaking to your regional managers and local managers, have that conversation and think if there's anything we can do locally in your service that would make a real difference in terms of the overall satisfaction of residents in that scheme, or also to helping to generate different things like activities as a good example. So please do speak to your regional managers over the next coming weeks, because we'll be asking those questions and trying to think if there's anything more we can do to add some more value back into the service. There are a couple of housing regulation updates. There'll be lots of things that you'll hear about this over the coming weeks, but I do think it's important just to reference that there's been some changes excuse me, and the regulator of social housing and how they're inspecting housing providers and associations, which Housing 21 are one of them. And they refer to the consumer standard, which is great because it's a real focus on the safety and quality of our services, how we communicate with residents and transparent, and kind of we engage with residents and tell them how we're doing and where we need to be better. The other one in there is the neighbourhood and community standard, which is around the communities that you have and how that works for residents. And the final one is around the tenancy standard. So there's 4 things here that the regulator are now going to be inspecting housing associations on. And the real lens of that, which is a shift, is around the services that we offer to residents. So if you do hear us talking about this locally, then please do engage in terms of how we communicate with you and how you think that can be improved, because it's a real focus for us this year. And the other one on there is the Housing Ombudsman, which is where we go for complaints. And they have changed and launched a new complaints handling code, which has been set, and that changes from April 24, which focuses on getting it right first time, which is important, and making sure that we're responding effectively to complaints early on and quicker in the process. So something which we're already focusing on, but actually the Ombudsman is asking all housing associations to do that too, so that's important. And the final one on there is around Arab's Law, which is around the damp and mould in particular. You'll recall the horrendous case of the little boy that passed away due to damp and mould in the housing association not that long ago. And there is new legislation coming into play around that, which talks about repairs service in particular, there's 29 different repairs that they defined as hazards. So really important that Housing 21 respond to that effectively. And you'll see us talking about that as well over the coming weeks and months. Really good thing for Housing 21 is this year we are 60 years old, which is great. We've been in existence for 60 years as we started out as a Royal British Legion. So I'll be doing lots of activity in the coming year, which will be things around photo competitions, which you'll hear about. Hopefully that's actually happening in some services as we speak. We'll be doing some birthday celebrations with residents and how we can celebrate together, and then we'll be doing some parties and different things on the schemes as well, which you'll hear about too shortly. So in the summer, I expect that every extra care scheme will be having a party of some sorts to celebrate with us. There will be small budgets around but food and stuff. We'll be making sure we supply that, but please do engage. And if you've got any diamond wedding anniversaries in the coming year or anything you'd like to celebrate with us, we would love to hear from you, because we want to celebrate. It's a big year for Housing 21, but importantly we want to do that celebrate with our residents. So there'll be lots of things and activities happening over the coming weeks, but particularly over the summer where we'll be holding some parties in the schemes. I'm really pleased to say that we're updating our website, and this has come up a lot of feedback from our residents who completed the online survey. So thank you for those of you who took part in that. But we do know we need to improve the website, and that's happening. So we're looking to select a new supply for the website in April. So it'll probably be towards the end of the year where we hopefully get a new website launched. What I would say is, in the meantime, there's a new resident information section on our current website. So if you do get an opportunity, I'd love you to go and have a look at that. It's already in place, and there's a bit more. It talks about some resident news on the slideshows. Talks about some help and advice and support, and also some of the policies around things like repairs and different things. So please do go and have a look at the website. I'm really pleased that we've updated the one that we have. Even more pleased that we're going to be completely updating our website, that will have a real focus on our current residents. But please do have a look and let me know if there's anything that you think we can do to improve the one that we've done already with the resident information section. It'd be great to hear from you. It's important that I also reflect the resident forum. So the picture there is of our lovely Ian, who chairs the resident forum, and they're doing some great work with us at the moment in terms of helping Housing 21 be better, and some of the things they're helping us work on are just on the slide there. They're thinking about clarifying the service charge information and looking at different ways that we can present that back to residents. So they're leading on that project with us to hopefully make it clearer. They're talking about kind of simple guidance on sharing resident related news. I hear this data protection thing an awful lot. And I think it's important we cut through some of that, and we can make sure what we can share is, of course, things that we can do. But I do know there's lots of things that local services want to share about residents, and they're always a little bit nervous about if they can or not. So they're working, the resident forum are helping us, and we're trying to find ways to make sure that's better. Technology is one of the things on there as well that they're working with us on, and also, as I mentioned, the new website, they've been involved in that, and they will be involved in helping us make sure the website is absolutely focused on our current residents. And the final one on there is about communication. And making sure how we improve communication. So I'm really proud of Ian and the resident forum. They they're doing some great work with us, and they really are holding us to account to make sure we get some of these things done. So I didn't put Ian's contact details on here, but if you want to find out more, or you've got some questions about the resident forum, please do get in touch with me, and I'll pass that on to Ian and the team, and they'll make sure it forms part of their plans this year. And finally, just a couple of other things I mentioned. I mentioned catering options. That is something that I am hugely keen to get resolved. There's a number of kitchens that don't have, in extra care, don't have a catering facility, and I know the importance of that for residents. So we're looking at options for how we can make sure that every service has a good catering facility in place, and that's consistent. That's quite a challenge for us, but it's something that we're committed to do, and we're coming out to specifically those services which don't have a catering facility at the moment. We'll be coming out in the next few weeks and a couple of months to talk to those residents about a couple of solutions that we have but it's important we engage with you on that and you help us kind of select the most appropriate way forward. And finally, Birdie is our new care management rostering solution. So for those of you that have House of 21 care services, we're about to go digital. We're about to remove paper and go on a fully digital platform, which is hugely exciting, but also a big change process for us. So we're going live in 4 extra care sites on Monday. And then we'll be looking at that. We'll be piloting that to make sure it works before we roll it out everywhere else. So hopefully you will see by the end of the year, and for those of you that do receive care services, a new digital option, which will be hopefully you'll love as much as I do. And that is it for me. So I've got no other slides. So thank you for listening. Katie, are there any questions? I'll stop sharing my screen.
There are no questions yet.
That's okay. If you do have any questions or you want to ask anything now or at any point, please do drop me a line. You can see I've just taken it down, but my contact details were on there. You have my email address anyway. You can get in touch with me at any point, hopefully. So drop me a line, drop me anything, and let me know if there's anything I can help with.
We do have one question, sorry.
That's
We've
okay.
just had one question come in. It says, what difference will Birdie make to us residents?
Oh, so well, lots, but obviously each individual is very different. But the Birdie system will give you and your family access to care plans, and you'll be able to see visits. Some of the feedback we get from our current care services is I'm not always informed of changes. I'm not always quite sure who might be coming. All of that will be on a digital platform. You'll be able to see that and engage with it in different ways. So you'll be able to see if any changes straight away. All your care records will be held digitally, so you and your family or friends, or if you wanted to, could see some of that information too. So, but it will, probably the biggest thing would be that rather than your care workers sat writing notes in your apartment and following up on different things, it will actually mean that they can do that much quicker and spend time doing what I know a lot of our care workers want to do, is spend time with residents. So hopefully that will be the biggest difference, but it will improve the quality of care for sure. Anything else, Katie?
No, nothing else has come in.
So I said, if you're watching this live or you're watching this following up, and you've got any questions, please do drop me a line. Let me know if it's any good. Still, it's our second one, so we're continuing to trial them and see how they work. But it's a different way to engage, so hopefully you'll see that, and please do let me know any feedback that you may have as well. Okay, love to see you all. Cheerio.